I was like, if they don't give this, dude, this is stupid. Here first, Minnesota to the NBA Finals.
I just feel like, why would you even like address those things before you ref the games? It's just going to give fuel to the fire. It's literally 50-50 for me. Obviously, I'm not rooting for that at all, but
Dude.
PSG's my pick. I would be curious to see what SHEDUER does with a coach that's not his dad. Like, that's going to be super interesting too. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the From the Stands podcast. We are back for episode number 61 on this Saturday, April 26th. We got another jam-packed episode for you guys after being off for a week. Not intentionally, but life just kind of gets in the way sometimes when you're not being paid to do this full time, unfortunately. So we did have to take a day off just because we were so busy and everything. But like I said, we have a jam-packed episode for you guys. A little NBA talk. We are in the middle of first round of playoffs. So we got some really, really good series going on right now, kind of back and forth. But we also have a couple series that are blowouts as well. So we'll get into that. We'll also get into a little La Liga, a little El Clasico action. Great game today that Fezzi didn't watch, but we'll get into that a little bit later.
We'll get into that.
And then we'll also break down the rest of the Champions League quarterfinals. That obviously is a little bit old news at this point, but I wanted to gloat a little bit. So we're going to talk about that. And then a little bit of a preview for the Champions League semis coming up this next week. So we'll get into all of those things I just mentioned in just a few minutes. But before we get into that, as always, Fezzi boy, what's been going on with us recently?
Hey, what's going on? Welcome back, everybody. Yeah, like Sam said, we took last week off. It actually worked out to be a good week to take off because it was Easter. So I hope you all enjoyed Easter Sunday. And as always, we always say we are, I wouldn't say we're like faith-based, but we are both Christians. So we were able to enjoy that. And I hope everybody was able to remember the reason we celebrate our Lord and Savior coming down, dying for our sins and giving us hope for new life. So super hyped for that. But yeah, not a whole lot going on with me. I think last time we were on, my parents were in town.
Yeah. Oh,
and
yeah.
I think that was the week we missed. So yeah, that was the week we missed. So yeah, no, had a lot of fun with them.
The reason too, I guess, because
that's true. That's true. Yeah, I went golfing, fishing, did all the things with my family. So it was super fun to have them here. My dad bought me a boat, so I got that now. So that's gonna be super hype. But other than that, not a whole lot going on. Just same old, taking care of Owen. Just vibing. Work.
The real question is, does it have a reliable motor on it, so you're not having to get a 2x3 and just.
It is a gas motor, and it does work. It does work very well. So that's hype for sure.
Make sure you test that thing before you take it out.
Yeah, for sure. Before I hand it back to Sammy, we do have a shout out. One of the things that why we're coming at you on a Saturday was I was busy Thursday. My wife and I are connected with this nonprofit, His Turn, in the Greenville area, and they use the game of soccer, which is super dope, to share the gospel with underprivileged kids in the different communities around Greenville. But we were at their banquet on Thursday, and we invited a couple of our friends, and one of my friends, David, asked us if we were going to talk about Liverpool in the Premier League because he is a big Liverpool fan, and his birthday is tomorrow, and Liverpool can wrap up the league tomorrow. So just wanted to shout out David and say I don't know how deep we're going to get into the Prem, if at all, but super hyped for you as a Liverpool fan. The rest of us don't really care, but we appreciate you listening, and yeah, that's all I got to say.
Yeah, good stuff. Obviously, as an Arsenal fan, a little disappointed with Liverpool winning this year, but yeah, big shout out to Mr. David. So we appreciate you listening as always. Not too much going on in my neck of the woods either. Just kind of bogged down by house projects and stuff, and church events and things like that. So not too much to report. Finally got my my flooring and stuff done. So that's a good feeling. So finally have my living room back right in time for the NBA playoffs. That's a good thing.
Yeah,
but,
that's nice.
Yeah, speaking of the NBA playoffs, we'll get into that here in just a moment. So stay tuned. Hopping right into the NBA playoff action that we got going on. Obviously, with the week that we took off, we kind of missed the play-in portion of the NBA playoffs, but obviously it's not as important, and we got the real series now. So it's like actually kind of a good spot because just the week that they have off usually before the playoffs and just has the included the play-in. So we missed a couple games, but we're going to kind of break down each series and kind of what's been going on so far. And at the end of the segment, we'll also have a little bit of a bracket challenge for you guys. So it's a little throwback to the March Madness vibes that we had going on not too long ago. And we'll see if our quote unquote brackets and how they do this year. It's a little bit easier to predict the NBA bracket, probably, especially when it's a series. But
Yeah.
we'll get into that at the end of the segment here. But first, series that we wanted to touch on is probably the most exciting series out of all of them in the NBA. And the reason that we're going to talk about it first is just because they just had a game and about 10-15 minutes ago that Fezzy Boy and I were watching while we put together some of the notes. Nuggets and Clippers. Nikola Jokic and company going up against Kawhi Leonard, James Harden, and the Clippers in this 4-versus-5 series here. It is now knotted up at 2 apiece after a very exciting buzzer beater, alley-oop, missed shot / Aaron Gordon put back kind of situation. Like literally at the horn. I mean, it was like
Yeah.
0.1 seconds left when the ball left Aaron Gordon's hand on the putback on the slam. So very exciting series so far. Nuggets took the first game. Clippers taking the second and third to go up by 1. And then obviously Nuggets winning today. I'm not sure how much of this series you've seen so far, but what do you got to say about the Nuggets and Clippers battling here? It's a very even series at the 4 and 5 seed here.
Yeah, this was kind of a series that I was keeping an eye on a lot because, like the Nuggets are just like they've kind of been consistently good. Had a bit like a dip in form near the end of the season, but the Clippers were coming in red hot. I think you were saying they won like a crazy amount of games coming into the playoffs.
18 and
Um,
3 on the back stretch there before the
18 and 3,
playoffs.
that's crazy. Yeah,
Yeah.
but obviously the Nuggets firing their head coach were right like 2 weeks before the playoffs, so everyone's kind of watching to see how they're going to do. I don't know if it's hurting them a whole lot right now. Definitely the continuity a little bit, but no, this is definitely a heavyweight battle. Clippers, like I think the Nuggets, did the Nuggets blow them out in game 1 or was it close? I don't remember it being close.
It was pretty close, but it was comfortable in the
Yeah.
end. So
Yeah, obviously the Nuggets kind of play like winning comfortably in that game, and then the Clippers blew them out in game 3. But yeah, no, this game was super cool. I didn't even turn it on until you told me. You're like, yeah, the Clippers are making a comeback or whatever, and you know, obviously ended with that really really crazy airball buzzer beater half slam thing, whatever happened. But no, super exciting. You love to see games end that way. And I'm glad they gave that bucket because if you guys weren't watching that game, it was like really, really close, the closest I've seen, but like it was definitely out of his fingertips when the buzzer went off. So I was glad to see that they gave it. I was like, if they don't give this, dude, this is stupid. But
yeah, I think the tale of the series for this one is just the fact that the Nuggets basically have a 7-man rotation. So they're obviously really, really thin. I think the Clippers are obviously a lot deeper of a team than they are. Like you said, the Clippers came on really, really strong in the second half of the season. A lot of that is due to the fact that Kawhi Leonard is finally the healthiest that he's been in several years, basically since the Toronto run in like 2019, 20, somewhere in there. So obviously the Clippers are a little bit deeper, but the Nuggets, I would say, have a better starting 5 than the Clippers do. But guys like Norman Powell and Bogdan Bogdanovic and guys like that are able to step up and make some big shots for them in the series. So the Nuggets just I feel bad a little bit for Jokic because I feel like this team, except for Jamal Murray, is kind of played out. Like Michael Porter Jr. is like so one dimensional, bro. Like he can shoot threes and that's about it. Like he can't
yeah.
do much of anything else. And for a guy on a max contract, like you just need more production out of him. And Christian Braun is good on the defensive end, but he's, I mean, not great offensively. So
Mm-hmm.
Jokic just really has to do everything for that team, unfortunately. And watching a lot more like full games, obviously now that it's the playoffs, like every single time Jokic goes off the floor, bro, like they struggle so hard. Like if they can only give up like a plus minus of like a -5 to 7 if he's off the floor, like they're
Mm.
doing good, which is like an insane thing to say, but like they just have to scratch and claw to just to stay even while he's off the floor, and then when he comes back, they obviously do a lot better. But it's just it's just crazy how reliant they are on him. And but I will say Jamal Murray, bro, like I was watching some of the game today, like he's up there with probably like in today's game, like maybe Luca and Jimmy Butler as like the biggest playoff risers.
Mm,
Dude,
mhm,
some of the shots he was hitting today, I was like, whoo, like
yeah.
he ain't hitting those in the regular season. And
No.
it's so funny because Jamal Murray doesn't have any All Stars or All NBA teams, but like when playoffs come around, he plays one of the best players in the NBA, in my opinion. So we'll see where that series is kind of able to take off from there. Like I said before, it's probably the best series out of all of them right now in the playoffs. Obviously, it's
Mhm.
knotted at 2-2, so we'll see where where that series will go. It'll go back to Denver, I think Monday or Tuesday. They'll probably play their next game, so be tuning in for that one probably for sure. So
Definitely.
great series going on there. But moving on to another series in the West with another MVP candidate in Oklahoma City and the Memphis Grizzlies. This one wrapped up today, actually. Thunder sweeping the Grizzlies, a good old 4-0 sweep in this one.
Yes, sir.
Not too much problems at all for the Thunder. The first game was actually on Easter. I remember that was at your house. Um,
Mhm.
I think the Thunder were up by as much as 63 points in that game.
Yeah, it was nuts.
Absolutely insane scoreline. Ended up winning by 51, which I believe was the tied for the third highest in a playoff win.
Uh-huh.
So that's a crazy result there. Thunder didn't really have too much trouble, except in game three. They were down by quite a lot in game three. And then
Yeah.
John Morant unfortunately went down in a crazy bang bang play with Lou Dort at the rim. I think he has a hip contusion. And then
Mhm.
Thunder came all the way back. It was kind of crazy to see the Grizzlies collapse without their star guy. And then obviously today is a little bit of a closer game. Today I saw the Grizzlies were up by most for most of the game, but the Thunder come away with a 2-point victory. Also come away with the sweep. So what do you got to say about this? I'm sure you probably didn't watch too much of the series because I'm a Thunder fan. I didn't watch too much of this series. So what do you got to say about the Thunder and how strong they look going into the second round?
Yeah, it was a bit of a lopsided series to begin with. I mean,
A
Memphis
little bit.
lost to the Warriors in the play-in and then had to win their second game just to get into the playoffs. So definitely not the stronger team. One of the teams that fired their coach just out of the blue as well, trying to get a little bit of a bump, I guess. I don't know. Just doesn't make sense to me to fire a coach right before the playoffs or playing, I guess, in their situation. But yeah, losing Ja really hurt, but I think the biggest thing from this series was MVP frontrunner SGA did not have a good series, and they were still. I mean, it's the NBA,
Dominant.
like just dominant against another NBA team. So,
Yeah.
a lot of hope for OKC, and they're definitely one of the favorites, if not the favorite, to win the finals after this series for sure.
Yeah. I think that we definitely have the deepest team, the most amount of guys that can come onto the court and contribute in a meaningful way.
Uh-huh.
Um, whether or not that is going to turn into an NBA championship or you know be able to dominate in the way that we did against the Grizzlies, against some other better teams, at least in our with our starting five, and how much we can put in some of our reserve guys, we'll see. But
Uh-huh.
yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, as a Thunder fan, like I've been on here before, with my opinion about the MVP race and everything. But in the first two games, Shea didn't score more than 20 points.
Uh-huh.
And we beat the Grizzlies by 51. And then I think it was 19 or 20 points in the second game. So
Uh-huh.
um, I feel like just the difference in the two series, the first round playoff series, kind of
Yeah.
shows you who's supposed to be the MVP. Shea had a little bit better stats in the third and fourth game, but the third game especially, he was kind of in there just like there's a couple just kind of garbage time points, and then the game today, he had a really good game today, so I'll give him that one for sure. But
Uh-huh.
just showing as far as the MVP race is concerned, I feel like if you take the two series and compare them, Thunder blowing out an NBA team in the first round by 30 and 40 and 50 points without their quote unquote MVP playing well really at all, compared to a guy who's literally having to scratch and claw and drag his team to a really, really tough close series against one of the better teams, at least as of late in the NBA. Kind of shows,
Yeah.
where the value is. But very, very excited for my Thunder. This obviously is by far the best that we've looked at in many, many years, really since KD and Russ. So very excited for them going into the second round of the playoffs here. So next we'll get into the Lakers and Minnesota series. Lot of big time names in this one. We got Luka and LeBron and AR going up against Anthony Edwards and company over there in Minnesota. I guess you could mention Rudy Gobert as a big three with Julius Randle, but whatever. Lakers go down 2-1 last night. Luka apparently had a little bit of a flu game last night. Vomiting all day, didn't have a great game, only 17 points. LeBron put up a big time effort, which is I think his first big time playoff performance this year. But what do you got to say about Lakers going down 2-1 to Anthony Edwards? Anthony Edwards, a dog.
Yeah, I was actually listening before the playoffs to some commentators say like this was the team that the Lakers wanted to avoid because they don't have anybody that can match up really really well with forgot his name. Timberwolves. Nah, Timberwolves.
Gobert? Anthony Edwards?
Anthony Edwards. Holy cow. I'm losing it, man. Switching
I
rims,
just
losing
said
it.
his name.
I know you did, and I was doing something on the side, but anyways, they don't have anybody that can. Nobody. I was trying to think of his nickname, but I couldn't.
Ant?
Yeah, Ant. No one can match up with Ant-Man really well. The Lakers are lacking size. Try saying that 10 times fast. Holy cow. And then the Timberwolves just match up super well. They got people that can guard 1 through 5 if they switch, it's just a really bad matchup for the Lakers for sure. Obviously they wanted that 3 seed because they wanted to avoid OKC or the Warriors, which we'll get into a little later, but yeah, just a bad matchup all around, but they're hanging in there. They're going to need something special from Luka and LeBron collectively. I think it can't just be one of them. And AR's got to step up big time as well. So it's going to be interesting for sure.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think I might have said this right after the Luka trade, but like the Lakers are not that great after like after their big three is impressive. Like AR has come on this year. Like if he could be a number one on another NBA team for sure. And then you have Luka, and then LeBron still's got it. I think LeBron's a little bit streaky now, just because if you watch the game so far, like he's had stretches where he does not look like the normal LeBron. Obviously, last night was different, but they still lost by like 12 points. So, but outside of those top three, like they're not really that impressive of a team. Like they have Rui, who you'd be lucky to get 10 points out of him. Jackson Hayes ended the game last night with 2 points. Yeah. He starts, but he only plays like 9-10 minutes a game. I mean, Dorian Finney-Smith, Jared Vanderbilt. I'm sorry, like that's not moving the needle for me. Gabe Vincent used to be a good player on the Heat, but for whatever reason, he can't get it together. So, one of the guys that I think can contribute in a meaningful way, at least shooting, is Dalton Connect, but he can't get on the court for whatever reason.
I know, he's out of rotation. Like, what's that about?
I have no idea. I don't know if it's just left over from the trade, and he can't still be scarred from the trade. Like it's been like 2 months now. So like,
yeah.
Like I think it's a coaching thing. I don't know. But anyway, like I said, I just don't think that their team after those 3 guys is all that impressive. And like you touched on, like it was really big for them to get the 3 seeded, but then on that last day of the season, all that shuffling around and them having to play the Timberwolves was probably the worst case scenario. And then the Warriors still having to face, if they get past the Timberwolves, which is a big if at this point, they still might have to play the Warriors anyway. So, but the Warriors have, their hands full with the Rockets anyway, which we'll get into in a second. But yeah, no sure thing for the Lakers at all. I really don't think that they're that impressive. They need to add some better role players for sure. But nothing to take away from the Timberwolves. Anthony Edwards, he's really come on this year. I think his biggest thing I was holding against him last year was the fact that he couldn't shoot consistently. Well, he
Mhm.
he is definitely shooting a lot better. I think there was
He
some stat that
is,
they were
yeah.
throwing up that he shot way more threes than he did last year. So,
Yeah, like
big
by
props.
a wide margin.
Yeah, and like you were saying, they just don't match up well. They don't really have a center, and Timberwolves have two big guys that are playing 35, 40 minutes a night. So we'll see
Mhm.
where the Lakers go from here. We'll see if they're able to kind of overcome that. Oh, the last thing I was going to say is about LeBron. Like it's weird. Like obviously, like I said, he had a good night last night, but it's strange seeing him go like significant stretches in these games without really being a part of the offense. Like obviously you have Luca now, so
Mhm.
it's different. But like I don't know
Mhm.
if you saw that sequence where like he missed a layup and then he like missed like he turned it over and then like the next possession down the floor like I think AR threw him a lob, couldn't get up
Mhm.
there. Like that was something he would
Kinda,
throw
yeah.
down like 2 years ago. He was just like grabbed it, missed a layup, turnover, and then
Yeah.
like it was. I was like, dude, what is this? Is so weird watching LeBron. So, he's
Right.
done really well in the regular season, but playoffs is a different animal. Maybe that's where Father Time finally is caught up to the old LeBron
Finally, dude.
James. But
Oh my
goodness.
word.
But anyway, moving on, we got the Rockets and the Warriors. Looks like this one's shaping up to be a really, really good series. Warriors taking the first game, Rockets taking the second one in emphatic fashion, and they're up by 10 right now. That's a game that's
Oh
going
boy.
on live right now, halfway through the second. So, Rockets, a little bit of a surprise getting that second seed with a lot of young players and everything, but a lot of people had the Warriors getting through, maybe not easily, but a lot of people were picking the Warriors to get through. But
Right.
it's not going to be easy for the Warriors. So, what do you got to say about the Warriors here and their series against the Rockets? As a little bit of a closet Warriors fan here.
Yeah, a little bit of a closet Warriors fan. Definitely rooting for the Warriors. I think their experience can help, but the biggest thing is going to be Jimmy Butler's health. The last game
Yeah,
he went down with a pelvic contusion. I don't think he's playing this game. I didn't see him playing. He was questionable coming in, so that's going to hurt them. If Golden State can split at home and take it back to Houston with a healthy Jimmy, I think they have a good chance. But I mean, they're just old, man. Like Father Time
yeah,
catches up to
very.
everybody. It just does,
Draymond,
and
Jimmy
like
Butler, Steph Curry.
yeah, they're not as
Goodness.
athletic. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
never gonna doubt Steph because he can always go off for like 50
Mhm.
and do something crazy. But I don't know. Rockets look real. They kind of first game kind of was just like feeling it out,
Yeah.
playoffs for the first time in a while. A lot of these players first time in the playoffs, so just kind of getting their legs under them. But I think Green on Houston, he had a good game last game, and I think he's kind of feeling himself now. So hopefully they can keep him at bay, but it's going to be a tough task for the Warriors for sure.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree. Warriors just look old. The first game they won, but it was a really low scoring game. Neither
Mhm.
neither team broke 100, and Curry went off for like 30, 35, somewhere in there. Jimmy Butler had a big night. So if those two guys aren't performing on a regular basis, it's going to be tough for them. Their third scoring option has been Pods. And
Yeah.
his last two games, well, I guess at least the last game that they lost, I think he didn't score any points in
Yeah, he
that
also
loss.
went
So
out. He was apparently sick with food poisoning, so they were missing him and Butler like early
geez,
in
what's
that
going on
game.
in Cali with all these sickies over
I
there,
don't
like
know,
just
man.
getting poisoned? But
Apparently.
um, and the Warriors, I would say too, similar to the Nuggets, they don't really have a lot of bench guys. Like Buddy Hield comes in, but he's streaky and
Yeah.
inconsistent. And yeah, they really need Curry and Butler to carry if they're gonna get through the Rockets. But like you were saying, huge props to the Rockets. They had a lot of doubters coming in. Super
Yeah.
young team. They got Fred Van Vliet in there. He's ancient, but everybody else is like under 25, which is
Mhm.
crazy. They have Amen Thompson. You really like him and Asar, his brother Asar.
Yeah.
Jalen Green's come on now. He's been on the Rockets for a little while, so a little bit of experience with Steven Adams too, former Thunder guy. So love to see him, still in the mix. But
Yes, sir.
they could be for real, especially if they
Yeah,
knock
they
out
could.
a Warriors team that everybody's pretty high on. It's funny that they keep targeting Draymond too, like
Yeah.
defensive player of the year candidate, and I saw them target him so much in game two.
Yeah.
We'll see how
They're
that's kind
just
of
so athletic. Like they're way more
exactly.
athletic than even the young guys on, which is why I don't know what's going on with Camavinga. Like Like
Right.
he is like
He was
so
supposed
athletic.
to be the next one.
Yeah, like huge upside. Now I'm seeing reports about like they've lost faith in him. They're gonna start trade. They're gonna start like pushing him out for trades next season. Like just like dude, that like I don't know. I don't know. And we don't have to get into this, but you could just answer if you agree or not. But I saw a lot of people were saying that young guys don't work out at Golden State if they were the guy on their college team. So like Pods, like yeah, he was drafted, but I think he came from like what, Santa Barbara or whatever,
Yeah, I
something
think
like that.
so.
And so like
Santa
he
Clara.
Santa Clara, he knows how to be a role player. And
Mhm.
so he fits in. But people like Camavinga and was it Whitesmith? White's yeah. Who was that guy
Whiteside?
they no, not Whiteside. Who was they drafted him from Memphis like 2 years ago. He didn't work out. He got traded. I think he's with the Pistons now.
Oh, the center?
Yeah, yeah,
It's not Looney. Looney's still there.
yeah.
This is driving me nuts. I don't
If
know.
you if it comes to you,
Keep
just
going.
just
Yeah.
say it. But anyways, he didn't work out because he was a star on his team, and they just don't know how to fit in. But I feel like
Oh,
Steve Kerr
Wiseman. James
Wiseman,
Wiseman. Yeah.
James Wiseman, yeah.
Just remember
They
that.
just don't fit in. So I don't know if you agree with that. Like Kerr likes the old heads, and that's kind of what is their Achilles heel now. Like he hasn't integrated enough of these like star young guys to like kind of fill those holes in the roles that they need now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's super interesting. Kaminga, I don't think he even played college ball anywhere. I think he came straight from like IMG Academy or something.
I think so, something like that.
Obviously, probably the guy over there, but yeah, I guess I haven't really thought about that too much. I guess I would agree, you know, in general, but I feel like it's just so hard to like the Warriors have a very specific group of guys that they like as their role
Mm.
players, like Gary Payton II, like they won a title with him, then they let him go, and then they were terrible, and then they got him back.
From back, yeah,
And so like him, like Buddy Hield, I feel like they're gonna get rid of him after this year.
yeah.
Kaminga, like he's shown flashes, but like you said, like they won't let him be the guy because obviously you still have Curry and Butler in them.
Mhm.
So and so like he's always in like the trade rumor mills and everything, and he really struggles to like fit in. He gets decent minutes and still can't really perform or like fit in, which is crazy. Like you've been there so long now, you should think you'd fill in somewhere, like especially playing with Curry. I feel like that would be a little bit of an
Right,
easy task. But
yeah,
yeah, I'm not sure. Like, I haven't really thought about that before. I haven't really seen them take like dudes that were like the guy in college or whatever. At least not that I can remember. Maybe I'm missing on somebody, but
right.
um, yeah, I guess it's just tough to the Warriors have a very specific way of playing too that I
Mhm.
think, obviously they when they had the run where they were, 15, 16, 17 were making finals all the time, like that was a very specific brand of basketball. I this is might be another hot take added on to yours, but I don't think Steve Kerr is that great of a coach at all.
Wow.
Like at all, bro. Like I think he was a product. Like I think I could have coached that 15, 16, 17 Warriors and like obviously made it to the finals. Like, I don't know how
Right.
much of that system was maybe a product of him or a product of like Curry and how he plays. And he
Mm.
obviously had Klay Thompson, which who is a generational shooter as well.
Mhm.
And Draymond Green setting all the illegal screens that he can to get those guys open. Because like when he's had to elevate a team when they are not like by far the best team in the NBA, he
Mhm.
hasn't done it, bro. Like they had the championship in 20 or whenever it was 21 when they beat the Celtics. That was pretty
Yeah.
impressive. But that was like still the remnants of like the core that you had. But like whenever he's had to draft or like even like develop players like Kaminga, who's allegedly, according to a lot of people, could be an all-star level player,
Mhm.
like he can't do it. And it's just
Right.
I don't see them winning games because of Steve Kerr. So
Mhm.
I don't know if you agree with that, if you have a response to that, but I don't think that he's that great of a coach. I think he's a product of, having one of like the best shooter in the NBA and having one of the best teams that we've seen in a long time. So
Yeah, he's definitely more of a culture guy. He doesn't develop. I
Yeah.
think, like you said, it goes on top of what I was saying as well.
Mhm.
Like he doesn't develop those young guys into those all star caliber players. He's the culture guy. It's all good feelings and this that, and then allowing players to be themselves, which I think he gets the credit for. Like the system that he implemented allowed like Curry and Clay Thompson to like really take off and become like the Splash Brothers instead of
Mhm.
being a more archaic type of basketball that wouldn't allow that.
Yeah.
But I kind of agree with you. Other than that, like what's he really done? He's made a good culture and kept the core around other than Clay Thompson. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, like I'll be curious to see. One, I don't think that he has enough courage to stay after Curry is gone. But
probably not.
if he does, that's the real test because he didn't
Yeah.
have a head coaching job before that. He just kind of
Hmm.
handed the Warriors job, and now
Right.
obviously he's been there ever since. But yeah, we'll
We'll
see.
see.
But obviously, he spent a lot of time on the Warriors. But like I said before, they've got their hands full with the Rockets in this series, so that one
Absolutely.
should be a great series as well. Moving on to the eastern side of the bracket, obviously the West is stacked with, especially those three series that we just mentioned. Outside of the Thunder, who's already done, but moving on to the Cavaliers and the Heat series, another 1 versus 8 matchup here. Cavaliers right up there with the Thunder, kind of keeping pace, running away with the East, especially towards the end there. Going up against the Heat, who again win a playoff or play in game to sneak into the playoffs once again. They've been in the playoffs several times over the last few years. New look Heat, obviously now without Butler and everything. Um, cool to see them in the playoffs again, but just getting destroyed by the Cavs here as they're up 3-0 in this series.
Yeah. Cavs are for real, man. Cavs are for real. We'll talk about the awards here in a little bit, but Mobley's playing super well, really, really, really well on the defensive end. Obviously you got a backcourt that is just super formidable, just scoring machines. And again, they're all playing super well, playing high level defense. And so just really bad matchup for the Heat, obviously coming out of the play in once again. Yeah, I could see the Cavs coming out of coming out of the East. I mean, they got to get through the Celtics, but I think we're destined for a Celtics Cavs Eastern Conference Final.
Yeah, that'd probably be the matchup that everyone would like to see. Cavs really running away with it with each matchup in this series. I think every game so far has been won by at least 20 points. So Donovan Mitchell playing pretty well. Actually, last game he only had like 13 or 15 points or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. But the supporting cast around the Cavs, they've done a really
So
good
good.
job of getting multiple players that can contribute. Even their bench, like some guys that I was seeing coming off the bench. I haven't watched the series like super in depth because it's obviously a blowout and everything. I haven't watched the Cavs much, but I know they have a guy called Dean Wade coming off the bench. He plays like 20 minutes.
Uh-huh.
DeAndre Hunter, who used to be a Hawk, I remember him. He comes off the bench. There's a guy that used to play for the Thunder, I know. So they just got several guys off the bench that can come on and contribute, and they got
Uh-huh.
some shooters, they got some defensive guys. So just a really well built team that can attack you several different ways. And obviously Donovan Mitchell's kind of leading everything, but Jared Allen and Evan Mobley as well are a good tandem down low as well. So they'll more than likely probably sweep this series. I believe it's tomorrow or maybe the next day, but we'll see who they match up with in the next round. Moving on to the Pacers and the Bucks. The Bucks get a very important win in actually no, I'm sorry. The Pacers get a very important win in Game 3 to bring it to a 2-1 advantage. Pacers are looking really, really good. The Bucks are not looking good without Dame Lillard. Obviously, they missed him in the first game. Kind of got blown out by like 20 there, but he's come back the last couple games. But the Bucks finally get a dub in this series. What do you got to say about the Bucks finally showing some fight in the series?
Yeah, good to have Damian Lillard back for sure. Back from what do you have, like a blood clot or something?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Bunch of
Blood
those
clot.
been going around the league. That sidelined
Yeah, what's going on?
Wemby early, but yeah, no, some life from the Bucks. I think if they don't get past this first round, Giannis is out, man. I think he's gonna.
Really?
I think he's gonna look for a new home
Where is
because
he gonna go?
I mean, he's always talked about playing with the Warriors, but like I don't know if he would take money. I think he's just going to go to the best place, which wouldn't be the Warriors. But
No, yeah.
yeah, it'll be an interesting offseason if the Bucks do not make it past the Pacers for sure. But yeah, Damian Lillard definitely helping them out a lot, and we'll see. This kind of a toss up series. I'm not totally sure who's going to come out of it. I mean, I know the Pacers made the Eastern Conference Finals last year, but that was kind of like a what the heck happened type thing.
Yeah.
So I
A
don't know.
little bit
We'll
of a
see.
lightning in a bottle kind of situation.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think the Bucks are just thin again, like kind of a Nuggets situation. They have not done a very good job at putting good players around Giannis. Like they traded for Kyle
Mm,
Kuzma at the deadline, and he's been dog water, bro. Like he's been so
so
bad for
bad.
them. They have Dame Lillard, but he's been, whatever. Like even though they won, he only scored 7 points, and even though he
Mm,
played 30 minutes last night,
that's
2 for
crazy.
12, 1 for 8 from three, and two of his points were free throws. So, yeah, not great times over for the Bucks right now, and their bench is just not great. Like they got like AJ Green and Pat Connaughton, like just it's just not great for the Bucks. I think it's interesting that you say he might leave because I tend to agree. But then
Mm,
I'm like, where's he gonna go? Like, who's he gonna want to
right.
match up with? He's gonna want to contend, obviously, squeeze out the last few years of his prime that he has left. Because he's only 30 right now. So he still has,
Yeah.
a couple years probably of his prime. He averaged like 30, 11, or 12 and 7 or whatever this season. So he's still a beast. So we'll see kind of where he ends up if he does decide to leave. It'd be kind of crazy to see him leave Milwaukee because he's been there since he was like a child, basically,
And has a championship with him.
and has a
Like he did
championship.
it the right way, man. He
He
didn't leave,
did,
but I mean, if he wants to win anymore, there's got to be
yeah,
a lot of
probably.
changes in Milwaukee, or he has to leave. So
Yeah. The Pacers, yeah, they look pretty good this series. Tyrese Halliburton's been really up and down. He only
as
scored
always,
14 points in the loss. And game one, even though they won by like 20, he only scored like 10 or 12.
yeah,
So he's been struggling a little bit, but Pacers are a solid team. Pascal Siakam can still get you 30 if he needs to, and they have a couple solid pieces coming off the bench. So it'll be an interesting series. I would probably guess that the Pacers will win just because it seems like they have a better all-around team than the Bucks do. The Bucks just rely way too heavily on Giannis, unless Dame can figure out what he's doing with his shot. Because,
yeah.
if both those guys are firing, they're a tough out for sure. But
Oh,
um,
definitely.
Dame gotta get it gotta get it together
Gotta
if they
get it
want a
going.
shot in this in this series. So,
Oh man,
um, next one we'll look at is Knicks and Pistons. This one's coming to be a really
spicy.
good one. I'm not really sure the order of the games, but I think the Pistons lost the first one. I think it went 1-1, and then now the Knicks are up 2-1. But
Hmm.
each game so far has been really really close. Obviously the Knicks, kind of the Nova boys and everything, but with Karl Anthony Towns there, they got that third seed, that big aspirations, hopefully to go to a Western Conference Finals or even maybe an NBA Finals if they can get past the Celtics. But the Pistons, man, surprise of the season, led by my boy Cade
Yes,
Cunningham.
sir,
They
dude.
also got Asar Thompson and a couple other really good young pieces. So, what do you got to say about the Knicks and the Pistons series here?
Yeah, no, I think this is more of a series than people thought. I think I don't think a lot of people, but I think people assume that the Knicks, with their experience, were going to kind of move past them in a little easier fashion. But I mean,
Yeah,
Cade Cunningham, man, we're both super high on him. I know he's a Oklahoma State product. That's why you like him, but I just like
yeah,
his game, man. He's a good person.
it's so fun to watch,
He
bro.
doesn't shoot a ton of threes. He has a good mid range. He has good size. He can get to the basket. And then Asar Thompson, like the Thompson twins, dude, are so athletic,
Yeah,
like crazy athletes, and they're playing really well. They picked up a few vets that are really helping gel the guys together, and really carried them in the first part of this series with a lot of the young guys kind of getting their legs, being in the playoffs for the first time. So yeah, super interesting. I kind of hope the Pistons, like, I don't know. I'm from New York, but I never really rooted for the Knicks, but I think that they're not quite there. They got a few things to figure out before they're making it NBA finals. But yeah, I mean, super cool to see the Pistons good.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Pistons have some good pieces there that they can definitely build around. Obviously, Cade Cunningham is the guy. Jalen Duren as well. He's just a really good defensive player. He can also score a little bit. So just a solid player there. A couple of guys that just been around the league a long time. Dennis Schroeder. Dennis Schroeder
Uh,
just plays well wherever he goes. So he's
Everywhere.
just a really impressive player. Then and Tim Hardaway Jr. He actually starts, but he gets buckets, man. He can shoot the three really really well.
Tobias Harris is
He's
on the
still
team
there.
now from
Yeah,
the Sixers. Yeah,
exactly. He's been balling pretty well. He's just good fits overall for the Pistons.
yeah.
So it's cool to see them, back and good. Obviously, just a team that really relies on their defense, kind of like the Pistons of old. So that's cool to see. I also just I've grown to not like the Knicks because I used
Mm,
to love the Knicks because like, oh, Nova boys, super cool. Have some cool pieces. But now that Jalen Brunson is like the primary ball handler, like I liked him in Dallas when he was with Luca because it was like a two-man game kind of deal. But
mhm.
now he just foul baits and like
Yeah,
flops and like I don't like those kind of players at all. So
yeah. No,
it'd be cool to see the Pistons knock off the Knicks just because the Knicks are just, like their fan base is like just so
would just
toxic
be
and just
rabid,
wild.
dude.
I don't know if you've seen those videos, bro, of like the Knicks. Was it that first year they were actually good? They knocked out the Hawks in the playoffs like several years ago, and all those
Yeah.
videos of the Knicks fans on the street were just wild, bro. Like
Dude,
so
they
crazy.
there's no chill
I
in New
know.
York when it comes to sports, dude.
Dude,
No
I gotta
chill.
pull that video back up at some point. I laugh every time I watch that
That's so
video.
funny.
But
Oh my gosh.
yeah, great series there. I'm hoping the Knicks pull out this next game. I believe it's tomorrow, just to pull it at 2-2. So we'll see how that series kind of shakes out. But Celtics Magic is our last matchup here. Magic actually pretty impressively got a dub last night. I think it was by 2 points. Pretty low
Yeah.
scoring game, I think, in that one as well. A lot of people thought the Celtics were going to sweep after the first couple games, but they've actually been missing Jason Tatum. I think he missed game 3 entirely, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe it was
Mm.
game 2.
It
No,
was one
Jason
of them,
Tatum
yeah.
played, yeah, and that's when Jalen Brown had like 38 points or something crazy.
Yeah.
So obviously Jalen Brown can carry if he needs to, but the Celtics give one up here late last night by 2 point 95-93. I did just look that up. So a little bit of a speed bump here, not necessarily a sweep, but it is hard to sweep in the NBA, obviously. So maybe a gentleman's sweep, or you got the Magic making some more noise in this one.
Yeah, I think the Celtics are just too good. I mean, Magic are one of those up and coming teams. They need a few more pieces. Maybe get another.
Paolo Banchero's the real deal, though.
He's a dude, man. I saw
Yeah.
him. It's not a meme, but a post the other day. We've had a good stretch of like one seeds going all the way back to I think it's Ant maybe that was like 2020 or something like that. Like a good stretch of one seeds that are actually not one seeds, one first round picks, first over round pick,
Yeah.
for sure. So no, I think the Celtics are gonna take care of business the next couple games. It was a good way to not get swept, Magic. That's what I gotta say. Way to not get swept.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. The Celtics, like, I don't know. I just feel like it's part of Jason Tatum and the Celtics DNA now, where they're like the expectations are so high, and they've obviously consistently let people down. Obviously, they won the title last year, but like, there's at least one point in the series, man, where you have this doubt, like
You wonder.
maybe, but I don't
And
think
then
it's going to be the case.
Peyton Pritchard comes out and scores 30 points off of like
Yeah,
7 for 10 shooting and something ridiculous like
two
that.
buzzer beaters from like half court, and
Dude,
yeah,
I love him. I was following him before he was even in college, but that's
wow.
that's crazy.
Yeah, I do think the Celtics will probably, just finish that one up pretty quickly here, in probably 5 games, if not 6. So I don't give the Magic too much of a chance here, but I may eat my words. So we'll see.
We'll
We'll
see.
touch on the NBA awards that kind of has been sporadically announced throughout the last couple weeks of the NBA playoffs here. Just quickly going through the ones that aren't really as important, and we'll get to the one that we really need to talk about. But the Clutch Award went to Jalen Brunson. I believe he beat out Nikola Jokic, and I think it was Steph Curry. A little bit of a weird one there, but whatever. I don't really know the metrics. Probably
Wild.
just a media award at this point. But
Absolutely.
whatever. The Hustle Award went to Draymond Green.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, it's a new thing. But Hustle Award went to Draymond Green for whatever reason. I don't know why. It's probably went on his podcast praying and begging to give him an award. So sixth man of the year. This
Absolutely.
one's actually pretty exciting. Peyton Pritchard, we just talked
Yeah,
about
man.
him, but
Let's go.
pretty, it's a no-brainer there. I don't think it was really close. He is by far the best sixth man in the league on a really good Celtics team. But the one award that we did want to just park on just for a second, Defensive Player of the Year, did not go to Draymond Green. Hey, good,
Good job,
good.
NBA. Good job.
Went to Evan Mobley, which I was a big proponent of when we were talking about this a couple weeks ago and saying Draymond's going on a little media tour trying to talk his way into another Defensive Player of the Year award. Thankfully, cooler heads did prevail. He did not win the award, but went to Evan Mobley. But I will say I do need to retract my statement, and I actually have a problem with Evan Mobley winning the award now too, because I saw some stats with the third candidate for this award, Dyson Daniels of the Atlanta Hawks, who you said that you really like him a couple weeks ago as well.
I do.
He has, obviously they had their total stats for the season, steals and blocks for all three candidates, and Dyson Daniels has more steals than both Draymond Green and Evan Mobley had steals and blocks put together. He had a handful of blocks as well, Dyson Daniels did.
Crazy.
But having more steals than both of those guys combined and having a handful of blocks, I think there's now a snubbing for Dyson Daniels for Defensive Player of the Year. So now that I've done a little bit more research, snub. So even though Evan
Make
Mobley
the hashtag, put it out.
yeah, I think there's a little bit of a snub there. Would you give it to Dyson though?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I don't think we should
after knowing all of that.
Well, the thing is like they obviously were giving these awards out to like players on good teams, which like has some validity, but like if it's individual awards, give it based on individual merit, not like how well your team's doing. Cause like you just said, like he absolutely like blew Draymond Green and Evan Mobley out of the water when it came to statistically. So like, yeah, give it to him. And like steals, in my opinion, like okay, maybe blocks as well, but steals, in my opinion, like that's the ultimate defensive. That means you lock someone up so good that you got the ball. Yeah. Like I mean, blocks can just be you're taller than some little point guard that drove into the paint and got like felt like he was feeling himself or something. But like,
that's why Gobert gets a whole bunch of.
But like steals are just like
tall.
That is like the ultimate defensive stat, I feel like. And so yeah, I definitely would have given it Dyson, but again, we don't have any say or sway yet. We're too small, so
we're working on it.
Eventually, application has been sent. The league has been warned.
Yeah. Yeah, without further ado, that'll kind of do it for the awards section. We're gonna get into a little bracket challenge for the NBA.
Let's get it.
This shouldn't take too much time, as we've kind of already gone way over on this segment as far as time is concerned. But
we missed a week, Sam. We got to catch up.
Yeah, I guess we'll take it maybe first round, go through everyone for both of us, and then kind of see from there. So
sounds good.
I guess we'll start with the West. Break down your first round winners from the West.
First round winners, I have the Thunder. No, I'm kidding. Thunder obviously moved through today, so that one's already picked.
Yeah, this will be a little skewed because obviously there's already been games played, so it won't be like a true we predicted it from the beginning, but we probably would have picked the teams that are currently winning anyway. So anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. This one's gonna be maybe a little controversial between us, but I'm gonna pick the Clippers purely based on coaching. The Clippers have obviously the best coach, and I think they even had the best coach, even if the Nuggets didn't fire Mike Malone. So I'm going to go with the Clippers to pull out probably a close series as it's been so far. I got the T-Wolves moving past the Lakers. I just think, I don't know, with Luka kind of being sick, LeBron being old, and AR not being existent, I think I think the T-Wolves not really find a way. I think it was just a matchup problem. Lakers had no size. I think if this was next year and the Lakers meet the T-Wolves with a little more size, it'd be different. I'm going to go with my heart here. I think the Warriors make it through, but I could easily see the Rockets push past them in this series.
Good stuff. I got the Thunder, obviously.
Perfect.
Would have had them regardless, obviously.
1 for 1 there. Let's go.
Yeah, 1 for 1. Yeah, let's go. Nuggets, Clippers. I want to
Ooh.
go with my brain and say the Clippers, but I think the Nuggets
Oh,
are going to have just enough. I think home field advantage, home
that's a
court
tough one. That's
advantage
a tough one.
is gonna be big. I think the Nuggets showed huge fight in this one. They were up by 20 midway through the fourth, so they obviously
Mm,
have enough to kind of compete and be
right.
able. They've shown that they're able to overcome the fact that the Clippers did blow them out in Game Three, or yeah, Game Three. So
Mm,
I think that Jokic at least drags them to the second round, even though it'll be real tough if Kawhi and Harden decide to click at the same time. It could be game over just like
right.
that. But I do have the Nuggets winning in that one. I do agree though. Ty Lue is one of the best coaches in the NBA in my
Oh, for
opinion.
sure.
But yeah, we'll see if he's able to get those boys going. But Lakers Timberwolves, I'm gonna agree with you and go with the Timberwolves.
All right.
Kind of like what you said. Luka's been struggling a little bit. I think he'll probably be okay in the next couple of days. But like you said,
Mhm.
LeBron is old. They don't have too much depth. I think the Timberwolves are a matchup problem. Julius Randle's been playing well. Jaden McDaniel's been playing well. Anthony Edwards is a dog. So I do have them going on to the next round. Rockets Warriors. I'm gonna go with the Rockets just because
Mm,
I do think the Warriors have a shot in this one, but like you were saying, Rockets are just stupid athletic. I think that the youth will prevail over the old guys in this one. So we'll
yep.
switch over to the Eastern Conference now. Let's take it one by one, kind of similar to what we did with the Western Conference here.
All right, here we go. I have the Cavs moving past the Heat. I think that's kind of just an easy one, 1 versus 8. Heat not really having it
Yeah.
this year, obviously. This one's a little bit of a toss up. I'm going to pick the Pacers. I just don't think the Bucks really put it all together. You kind of alluded to the Pacers having more depth, which is definitely going to help them out in a 7-game series. So I got the Pacers moving on there. This one, uh, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna pick the upset just to be different. I'm gonna pick
Mm.
Detroit to move past the Knicks and just have the Knicks fans burn down New York City. So, and then obviously I got Celtics over the Magic. I think Magic put up a fight in the last game, but as we were saying when we were kind of like highlighting and previewing this game, I think Celtics win the next two and move on.
Yeah, well, this isn't going to be too interesting then because I basically have the same all across the board. Cavs, no
Perfect.
brainer. Pacers, kind of for the same reason we just talked about when we were breaking down the series. I think the Bucks are extremely one dimensional with Giannis. Dame doesn't look like he's got enough to propel them and really be able to push them in a better direction. Pacers are better defensively as well, so I see them going through.
Mm-hmm.
Knicks Pistons, like you said, a little bit of an upset, but like I don't think it like yes, 3-6 is an upset, and the Knicks technically have the better team on paper, but like every game's been close. Like it's been, kind of back and forth. So I could see the Pistons knocking them off. Just that hunger first time in the playoffs. Cade being able to lead that team to a big time upset would be huge for them. So I hope it happens, and I'm predicting it to happen. So and the last one, Celtics Magic, kind of what we said before. So gentlemen sweep there more than likely, but we'll see. But Celtics get through. So we'll go to the second round now. Hopping back over to the Western side now. Fezzy boy, what you got?
All right. So for this, sorry, second round, I have Thunders versus the Clippers. I think the Thunder move on. They definitely have more youth, more depth. And I think their coach is very good as well. So I think it nullifies the coach aspect, like in the previous round against the Nuggets.
Yep.
Got Thunder moving on. T Wolves versus the Warriors. I think T Wolves just have too much size. They don't. Warriors wouldn't have an answer for Ant as well. So I actually have the T Wolves beating the Warriors and moving on.
Very, very interesting.
Yeah.
I have the Thunder beating the Nuggets. I think the Nuggets low key probably gentleman sweep there if that does happen, just because our
Mm,
depth is gonna overwhelm the Nuggets. We'll be
yeah.
able to throw bodies at Jokic. Again, I don't think the supporting cast is that great outside of Jamal Murray. Michael Porter Jr. has been dealing with some injuries, so it's just all those things put together would be a tough series for the Nuggets. So I do have the Thunder moving on there. And then the other second round matchup, Timberwolves and Rockets. I do have the Timberwolves in this one. I think this one if it does happen where it's Timberwolves Rockets, this one could be a 6 or 7 game series for sure. I think it could go back and forth. Ultimately, I have the Timberwolves just because they have the best player on the team, best player in the series in Anthony Edwards. I think they get it done. More physical team on defense as well. So
Right.
queuing up for a Thunder Timberwolves conference finals on my side. So hopping back over to the Eastern Conference, second round matchups here for Fezzy Boys bracket.
All right, we got Cavs versus the Pacers. I'm going to take the Cavs in this one because I just think they're the better team, have the better backcourt. Yeah, enough said. Pistons, Celtics. I think the Celtics win. I think the Pistons lack of having. I mean, they have Cade Cunningham. He's young. They have a lot of young up and coming stars, but the Celtics, just with their depth, they got guys that coming off the bench that can score 30 for them on any given night. They got size, got the coach. They're just, and they're defending champs. So I just don't think you bet against them when it's a young team versus them. So I got the Celtics in that one.
Yeah, the Cavs Pacers series I think has the potential to be really interesting, just because they were actually able to beat the Cavs a couple times in the regular season. The Cavs, like they seem pretty unbeatable in the East, like in the regular season, but down the stretch, the last month of the season or so, they're losing some games pretty consistently. So I could see the Pacers stealing a couple games, maybe making the series interesting. Lightning in a bottle, maybe like last year, maybe even knocking them out if the Cavs kind of have a collapse there. But I am going to pick the Cavs to go on, and then Celtics Pistons, like you said. I mean, Celtics just they're deep. They got guys all stars coming off the bench basically at this point.
Right.
Cool run for the Pistons. Hopefully they get through the Knicks. But yeah, ultimately, Celtics go through a little bit early for the Pistons, but a lot to build on. So Cavs and Celtics in the conference finals for both of us. So flipping back over to the Western side, conference finals, who you got?
All right, conference finals. I got T-Wolves versus the Thunder. Now that I'm looking at this, dude, I don't know. I mean, it'd be easy to pick the Thunder just because they have SGA, but I mean, the T-Wolves have Ant. Like, these are kind of like two evenly matched teams, super scrappy, good size, great defense. T-Wolves are actually ranked as one of the best defensive teams in the league.
Yep.
I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to say the Thunder don't get it done this year again, and the T-Wolves kind of avenge themselves from last year.
Minnesota going to a finals?
Minnesota, Jared, you heard it here first. Minnesota to the NBA finals. Yeah, and then I'll just hop over to the Eastern side real quick too. Cavs versus Celtics, the Eastern Conference Finals, everyone predicted like halfway through the season. I'm gonna take the Celtics. I just think they have more to offer than the Cavs. And again, you got Pritchard coming off the bench, giving you 30, like could potentially give you 30. That's just insane. So got the Celtics meeting the T-Wolves in the championship game.
Very good, very good. I'm gonna go with my Thunder in the conference finals. I think we
As you
finally
should.
have it this year. We were new to the playoffs, new to the core was new to the playoffs last year. Maybe it was a little bit early for us. I think the way that we played throughout the season and the way that we kind of come into the playoffs really, really hot, just continues. The Timberwolves are going to be a tough out, especially with Anthony Edwards and some of their defensive guys playing so well. But again, I think we have just several different ways we can score with different guys, different styles and everything. So I do think we squeak past the Timberwolves and go to our first final since 2012, baby. So
yes, sir.
we'll see. Hopeful that happens. But and then on the Eastern side as well, similar to what you were saying, I think the Celtics, man, they're just as long as they don't beat themselves, I think that they go through the East once again. I think they have too many guys that kind of similar to the Thunder, I guess. Too many guys that can score. You got Derek White, dude. He was so clutch in the playoffs last year. Like every time they needed a three, bang. Kristaps Porzingis is like a unicorn. He's playing like power forward. Al Horford is just the guy that brings everybody together. So I think they get to the Cavs as well and get to their second straight finals in 2 seasons. So who you got winning it all?
All right. Bit chalky. I'm gonna go with the Celtics just because they've been there, done that. Don't think the T Wolves quite have it this time around, but they will be back at some point. But I got the Celtics repeating. in the NBA Finals.
Very interesting. I have the Celtics winning as well.
Oh,
Yeah,
controversy.
yeah,
We
yeah.
love it.
I think the Celtics have the most amount of defensive bodies, I guess you could say, to throw at SGA, to throw
Mm,
at Jalen Williams, the most amount of size, the most amount of skilled defensive guys, and obviously pair that with offensive. I think the Timberwolves have that as well, but I just
mm-hmm.
think that doesn't translate as well on the offensive side where they're like a little bit more one or two dimensional with some of their guys, like maybe like Anthony Edwards and then like Mike Conley. Whereas like you have Rudy Gobert, who's crazy good at defense, but
Yeah.
he's like basically a net negative on the offensive side
Right.
of the floor. So I think the Celtics are the opposite of that. I think they have like basically their starting five are good offense and defense, can play both ways, athletic, been there, done that at this point, like you said.
Mm.
So I think that they get it done against my Thunder, unfortunately. But hopefully that's not the case. But
We'll
that is
see.
my pick. So, but yeah,
Oh, am I supposed to go? Is that your
yeah,
pick?
yeah, that is
Oh,
my pick.
I mean, I think the Celtics are just that team. They're just that good, man.
Yeah,
Um, I, I think that I was hearing someone say that like with the way things are structured now in the NBA, like with salary cap and contracts and stuff, it's actually really hard to get what the Celtics have. Like we won't see a team like that. They were able to do it like right before a lot of the rules changed and stuff like that. So I think that's why they've been moving through the league pretty
yeah.
pretty
I,
easily.
I was just I remember texting Jared a lot during the NBA Finals last year. Obviously, when Luca was playing with them, I was like, the Celtics are so annoying because like they basically have an all star at every single position, like Jason Tatum, Jalen Brown, Kristaps Porzingis. I don't know how the heck they were able to trade for him, Al
Mm,
Horford, and then like Derek White, who's like just I mean, he's not an all-star, but he might as well be one the way he was playing last playoffs. So
right.
and it was just I felt like it wasn't fair playing against like the Mavericks who have like Kyrie and Luca and that's about it. But
Yeah.
anyways, we're in it for a very, very good playoff season here in the NBA. Several series are going to be close. Obviously, as we get closer and closer to the NBA finals, it just gets even better. I don't know, like I understand people, and I'm kind of one of these people that like doesn't really watch during the NBA regular season because kind of trash, load management,
Mhm.
whatever. But there is nothing like the NBA playoffs, bro. Like every game, I feel like could be really close. Every game, I feel like guys are just they're on the floor, the hustle. It's just the level of basketball. I feel like it is
So
is
good.
very high. So I love the NBA playoffs, and I'm glad it's here. So
Yep.
obviously, that was a very very long NBA segment, but I feel like it's deserved just because
It
of the
is.
point that we're at. So it'll get dwindled down a little bit once we have not as many series and games to kind of break down. And obviously, we'll be try to be a little bit more consistent with the pods because we had a lot to go over. But that'll do it for the NBA portion of the podcast. We'll get into a little soccer here in just a moment.
All right, hopping over the pond as we usually do. We're going to take a look at a little bit of La Liga. The Copa del Rey happened today, El Clasico, and we were in for a good one. Obviously, Sam alluded to, I did not get to watch this game because I have a child and life gets expensive. So we cut a lot of our TV providers. We had a bundle, so I didn't just cut ESPN Plus. I had Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus like grouped in. So obviously, when we cut the other two, ESPN Plus became expensive, and so we didn't do that. So that's an explanation for you guys. But we had a
Yeah,
good
I
game.
was
I did.
giving him crap over the $5 it costs to get
It's
ESPN
actually
Plus.
$12, so you can suck it. But yeah, kids are expensive. Got to buy those diapers. But anyways, we had a great game. A little bit of controversy leading up to it. We don't have to spend a huge time on it, but I think it's good to get into because Sam and I were kind of debating this before we hopped on the pod. But Real Madrid's, I guess it wasn't Real Madrid specifically, but their network or affiliate network or
Real
whatever
Madrid
released a
TV, I think it was, or something like that. I'm not really
yeah,
sure.
released a video of the ref, kind of like this, I guess you could call it a low light video of him making decisions against them, causing them games and stuff like that. And basically they were saying he shouldn't ref the game. The ref came out in a interview, a press conference saying like he's super emotional about it and like, his kid had to be taken out of school because a lot of the kids saw it and they were calling him a thief and bullying his kid because of it. He did end up reffing the game, but obviously Sam and I have split opinions. I think I'll just give my opinion right off the bat. I think it's Real Madrid's fault for doing what they did. Like, who is releasing a video and crying about like a ref that they don't like? Everyone has a ref they don't like. They deal with it. They play the game. The game happens. It really doesn't matter at the end of the day. I do see your point a little bit that you'll get into, but at the end of the day, I don't really fault the ref because honestly, he probably didn't want to be in that press conference. Why is La Liga making the refs do a press conference? They're supposed to be in the background.
Yeah,
They're
I've
supposed to
never
be,
heard of that. That's
yeah,
super
like
weird.
obsolete. Like the I heard a quote today. It was like the best games are when you don't even know the ref's there. Like that's how games are supposed to be. Like you shouldn't bring the ref into it off the field, on the field at all. Like he's just there in case things get out of hand. But anyway, so that's my opinion. I think I wouldn't say I necessarily agree that he should have ref the game after his comments, but I don't think it was his fault that he was in the situation that he was in.
Yeah, generally speaking, I agree. I think the reason that obviously Madrid fans are like super entitled and they think they need to win
You
every
said it,
game.
not me.
Um, I mean, some of them are, some of them are whatever. Anyways,
Standing.
I think that part of the reason that the Madrid fans were released this video, or what I haven't even seen the video, but is because the referee in question, a lot of the calls, I guess, that went against Real Madrid were very controversial. Like there was one
Mm,
that I think he sent off Ronaldo, where like he gave Ronaldo a yellow card. It was like a Champions League quarterfinal or I'm sorry, a Copa del Rey final, and he like made contact with the referee, which like technically I was supposed to do, but he sent him off for it, which like you never
mm,
see. So it's like stuff like that where it's like ticky tack. Just seems like he doesn't need to escalate, but he escalated against Real Madrid. So obviously, I think that that it's against him, whatever. Probably
mm,
shouldn't have done that. But also, like you hear, like especially in England, of like clubs and like their maybe not necessarily their direct media team, but you hear fans being like, "This ref doesn't like us. Great, it's this ref against this team or whatever." That's all like they're always commenting about it. Should they have released a
mm.
video? No, I don't really agree with that. But like I also don't really understand why first of all, like you said, why they have a press conference for referees. I've never really heard of that.
Right.
Maybe it happens all the time and I just don't hear about it because we don't care about referees that much before the game. But the fact that he was like, oh, like the fact that he addressed it directly and saying that, oh, it's really impacting my family and everything, I just don't think is like the best thing to say before you ref the game, like one way or the other. Like maybe you can address it after, or if you address it all, maybe after the game, maybe. I don't know. I just feel like why would you even like address those things before you ref the game? It's just going to give fuel to the fire. And it's just like every single call that you make against Real Madrid during the game is going to come back to that and be like, oh, he hates this kind of thing. So that was like my biggest thing, I guess, on it. I wasn't like super like upset at like him for making the comments, but I was just like, that's a little sketchy. Like, why would they put him in charge if there's this catalog of evidence? But again, I didn't see the whole video of like that they released or whatever, so I don't know everything that they're going up against. But I was just like, this is super unnecessary. Like, why are we doing this? Like, and
Yeah.
From La Liga's perspective, I was like, why can't you just get someone that doesn't like maybe a younger guy that's just doesn't have all this baggage allegedly.
Right.
But I watched the game. I didn't really have a ton of issues with how he refed it until like the very end. But I'm not sure how much you wanted to talk about that continuously before we kind of get into the game. But that was my only opinion about it, I guess.
Yeah, no, and I think it's a valid opinion, and I don't have too much to say about it. Like you said, the game was it was a great game. We had extra time, really close. Barcelona obviously ended up winning 3-2 in extra time. Kunde getting the winning goal, but it was definitely I guess you could say a back and forth affair for the most part. But Sammy Boy did watch it, so I'm going to kind of hand it over to him. What do you think of the game, and do you think it was a deserved Barca win?
You threw that last question in there. I
Got him.
do tale of two halves, I think, in my opinion. First half,
Mm,
Barcelona had most of the possession, all the shots. I think Madrid had one shot all of the first half.
Oh wow.
Obviously, Pedri scoring a goal pretty early to go up. Very nice goal. The Pedri goal is very, very nice. Squared very nicely from their winger. Midfield just for Madrid, disaster class on that play. He was like right on the top of the 18, and there wasn't anybody within 8 yards of him. Able to curl a really nice one outside of Courtois there. So nice goal there. I do think that Barcelona dominated most of that first half, and then Madrid is basically Madrid's turn to kind of dominate in turn. Mbappe had a really nice free kick goal. It was kind of set up on the right side, and instead of going up and over the wall, he went to his left, which I don't think anybody was really expecting, but he got that in there. It was kind of funny because at the beginning of the second half, I was watching this game with a buddy, and I was like, bro, like Mbappe came on, and at the start of the second half, I was like, Mbappe legacy game, bro. He's gonna score 2 goals right here. Took him a little while to get on the score sheet. It was the 70th minute, but he did score. And then Tchouaméni had a really nice headed goal on a pretty bad Barcelona breakdown on a corner kick. Just bad man marking. Szczesny was like all the way to the right side of the goal, just leaving the entire left side pretty open for Tchouaméni just head that home. So solid goal there. And then Ferran Torres got one pretty late on in the second half at a big mistake by Courtois and Rudiger, I believe it was the center back that was involved there. Really dumb mistake. Like it was one of those big long balls over the top. Ferran Torres is the only guy up there. Like goalkeeper and center back kind of come together and collide. Like Ferran Torres gets there first, nicks the ball around him. Like it's an easy shot from there. But like Courtois definitely did not need to come out on that. I was just like, dude, he's going way right. Like it wasn't even really that close, like where he needs to come out. Like he could have definitely made a touch, and like Rudiger was between him and the goal, and he was by himself. So I was like, why are you coming out there? So that was a killer. Like that was Madrid had all the momentum, and then that goal happened, and I was like, whoa, what the heck?
Right.
And then they went to extra time, and extra time was really boring for like 35 minutes or 30 minutes, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And then like it was really just passing, whatever, just going through the motions. Both teams, I think, were just like happy with the with the time going to pens. But then Koundé just had the ball at the top of the 18 and just smacked it home. So it was a really nice shot by him. Chaos ensued after that. Rudiger, Vasquez, and Bellingham all getting red cards after the final whistle because of a pretty controversial late penalty shout by Madrid. So we'll get into some of the controversial actions I think that the referee could have taken but didn't. But I don't know if you had anything to add on that, since if you watch the highlights or anything like that.
Yeah, it's super hard to get like the flow of the game from the highlights because obviously it's cut up and you just get the goals and stuff like that. But I did notice, just based on like the lack of highlights in extra time, that I was like, okay, each team's playing it safe. It's kind of a snooze fest, and then all of a sudden Koundé just kind of like steals the game at the end there. But yeah, we can hop right into some of the calls and controversy. I did see, did he didn't give a pen for Barcelona? They were shouting for a pen
Yeah, so
in the
there are two different instances.
Okay.
So there's one by Rafinha, who he initially called a pen, and then he went to VAR and then realized that Rafinha wasn't even touched, and he took a dive, and then he brought it back, annulled the penalty, and gave Rafinha a yellow card for diving. So that was obviously pretty good. And then there's a second in the second half. I thought Barcelona had a pretty good shout. There was two different fouls, I guess you could say, on the same play. The first one I thought was like more of a foul, where like the Barcelona player is like in a weird like position where his legs are a little bit spread farther apart, and then like Rudiger Bailey, like he nicks his foot, but I felt like it was enough for a penalty. He didn't give that. And then like there's a second one after that that was very marginal, and like that one definitely was not a penalty. But they on VAR they looked at the second one instead of the first one, and they didn't give a Barcelona penalty for that one. So there's a couple different spots. Then the Madrid one at the end.
I did see that one. Yeah,
I felt like that was kind of
he was
that one
offsides, right?
kinda,
That's why they didn't give it.
yeah, I think so. So that's why they were really upset. But and then I'm blanking now on why Rudiger was like super upset. It
I
may have
think
been
it.
because of the offside part,
I think it was
but
like obviously they didn't see it and he didn't give it, and they
yeah,
were he was off. I think Rudiger was off because I think they threw on an attacking player
right.
um in the dying minutes. But like, yeah, I mean he was clearly offsides from what I saw. Again, I got highlights, so I get only so many clips to see. But
Yeah, are you talking about the Mbappe through on goal one?
yeah, the
Yeah,
last one, the last one that would have
yeah,
given them a chance to tie it
yeah.
in extra time.
I think that's what it was. But I guess that wasn't that controversial if he was actually offside. I think he was offside in the build up, so I think
Okay.
that's why that was drawn back or anything. But
Gotcha.
yeah, I mean, it was a good game overall. Kind of like I
Yeah.
said, tale of two halves. So kind of go either way with that. But I thought Madrid would finally get one on Barcelona. I think they played each other 3 or 4 times now
Four
in this
times. Yeah.
season, and Barcelona's won all of them. So
Yeah.
tough times for Madrid. I know that they play in a couple weeks in the league, so we'll see how
Yeah.
that goes. But that would be really bad for them to lose all their meetings against Barcelona in the same year. So
Yeah, we love to see it. As a Barca fan, absolutely love to see it. High and flying. I wouldn't say high and flying in the league. It's still pretty close between Real Madrid and Barca at the top.
dude, I will say Rafinha and Yamal both played terrible. Like
They
Rafinha
didn't
had
have good games.
3 shots where he had
Just
it on his
pulled it.
preferred left, pulled it right every single time. I'm like, bro, this guy's trash. And then he had, not trash, but like obviously he didn't have a good game. And then he had the dive, and then he just wasn't doing well at
Yeah.
all. And then Yamal on the other side, like he would get the ball, and then he would like every time he'd do this like weird like outside of the boot pass, turns it over every time. I'm like, what is going on with these guys? But obviously, I did enough to win, so big props to
Yeah.
them. But I was not impressed by those two wingers.
Yeah. Which they
Um,
need to get their act together because, I mean, in the Champions League, we can't win like that.
yeah,
Obviously, Real Madrid, even with their pieces, they're down for whatever reason this season. They do have a few injuries and stuff like that. But yeah, did not have their stuff today. And I think it's just
starting
like,
Ceballos was stupid.
well, I think it's just like I think it's a little bit of the fame going to their heads. I mean, Rafinha, he came from Leeds, bro. He was playing at Leeds, and now he's getting like Ballon d'Or shouts. Same with Yamal, like Ballon
Yeah,
d'Or shouts, and they're just like, oh, everyone's calling us the best in the world. It's like, nah,
that
calm down. Just show up and play, man. Just show up and play.
yeah, that's exactly what my buddy was saying. Because like Rafinha, he was like, bro, I don't understand the hype around Rafinha. I haven't seen him have a good game since Leeds. Like he said, since Leeds. He watches a lot of soccer. So and then
Nice.
Yamal, kind of the same situation. Like I feel like it's ways like we've talked about this a little bit before, where like a lot of hype at the Euros, does really well, and then this whole season we've kind of been talking about like goal droughts and like is he really that guy? And then he scores like 1 goal in a game or does really well in the Champions League. It's like, oh
Yeah,
yeah, like everybody's
best in the
worshiping
world,
him
best in the
again.
world. Yeah.
And then like what are they going to say after this game where he's like kind of dog water? So
I guess it just shows that I think rightfully so, and I know you're high on him. Hansi Flick is a great manager.
love
He's
him.
got
Yeah,
the whole team just playing really well, and like it makes up for no Louis, Rafinha, and Yamal having terrible games, and we still find a way to beat Real Madrid, even though they are down. It's Real Madrid. Like, you beat them, you feel pretty good about yourself for sure, especially in a Clasico. Uh,
yeah, definitely.
but like you said, great game. Loved watching the highlights. Super cool to see Barcelona doing well. Like I said, flying high in the Champions League as well, which is a good segue into our next little bit of the segment, the Champions League. It's a good day to be an Arsenal fan, isn't it? Isn't it,
It
Sam?
is. It is very good.
Yeah, I'll
Uh,
kind of just hand it off to you, but Arsenal knocking Real Madrid out of the Champions League. It's just not Real Madrid's year, but it might be Arsenal's year, huh?
bro, I'm
Maybe.
so hyped for Arsenal. Like
Dude.
we obviously, since I've been an Arsenal fan, we have never been this far in the Champions League. We are in the semifinals for the first time since 2006. So it's been a
Let's
little
go.
while since Arsenal's been this far. I guess I'll kind of just take it then.
Yeah.
Beating Real Madrid 2-1. Obviously, everybody, including myself, came into the second leg being like, remontada is going to happen, bro. Like they're going to come back. I know that they haven't come back from 3 goals, but they have scored 3 goals to come back before. I was
Hmm.
like, bro, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Like Arsenal, just I've been an Arsenal fan for too long. I know how these things happen. I know what Real
Right.
Madrid is. like it's Champions League, it's going to happen. But then
Mhm.
it just didn't happen. I think it was huge that we didn't concede in the first like 20, 30 minutes to
Mm,
give like them like all the momentum at home. So that was massive. Really just a great game defensively. I'm very impressed with Kivior, who I was not very high on at all
mm,
when I learned that Gabriel was going to be out for the rest of the season.
mhm,
He played super well. Miles Lewis Skelly is keeping several guys who are now healthy out of the squad. Guys like Ben White, and Zinchenko, who isn't that great, but like
mhm,
definitely, perceived better than Lewis Skelly at the beginning of the season, at least. He's playing really, really well. Our midfield played well. We're still starting Mikel Marino at striker, which is pretty wild, but um, obviously they did score. They did score, but it was after Bukayo Saka already had one for us in the 65th. They came right back, but the only reason they scored is because Saliba gave it away. Top of the
mhm.
18, nobody there. Vinicius, boom, like easy, like wide open goal. So like in my mind, we really didn't even concede a goal in the two legs. So
Right.
um, yeah, five ended up being 5-1 technically with Gabriel Martinelli's last second winner there, which I loved. That we could say that we won over two legs in both of them, so that was massive. But just a
Mhm.
really really solid performance, like you said. Madrid definitely down this year. I feel like, especially by their standards, but I mean they're still Real Madrid at the end of the day. Like they're going to put up a fight. So just seeing that 5-1 aggregate scoreline against the likes of Real Madrid is a good feeling. Even though in that second leg they definitely had way more shots on target, more possession. Obviously, they were always going to. We were the ones that were defending the lead, but just to come away with that dub away from home at the Bernabeu is in the Champions League is massive. So I couldn't be happier that we're off to the semifinals for the first time in a long, long, long time. I was 7 years old and I wasn't even watching soccer last time they were there. So
Dude, yeah, dude, such a good feeling to see Arsenal. And I just love the Champions League because, like, it's so obviously you guys aren't doing horrible in the league, but like, obviously the Prem's done and dusted. So you're able to kind of just throw everything into the Champions League and get the most out of your squads for that. And you find yourself in the semis, and it's just a good year. But yeah, like we were kind of alluding to before, Real Madrid, I don't know. Something we didn't mention, and obviously we don't have to talk anything deep about this, but Ancelotti is leaving after this
actually, yeah,
season. He wants the Brazil job. I was seeing reports, so it'll
good.
be interesting to
I want
see
him to
who
see. I
replaces
want to
him.
see him at Brazil. I think he could revamp that team. It's been a little bit down recently.
Not after the stuff he said about Endrick, though. I saw some reports that he was calling
Oh,
Endrick
really?
out on Real Madrid.
I didn't
So
see that, but
yeah,
I
it's just
I
it's just funny.
that's good though. That's what they need over there, Brazil.
Oh
I
yeah,
feel like that's
definitely.
half the reason they're not good anymore because they have a bunch of entitled Rafinhas on their team that think they're just handed trophies because they're Brazil. But
Handed Ballon d'Ors. But yeah, no, good looks being an Arsenal fan, and I was definitely an Arsenal fan, rooting for them to knock Real Madrid out. Obviously, kind of keeping it in that La Liga vein. Barcelona moved past Borussia Dortmund, even though they lost to them on the day 3-1, move into the semis 5-3 on aggregate. Again, Barcelona just having a really, really good season under Hansi Flick. He's got them playing super well. And again, Rafinha and Yamal not playing super well. Lewandowski's been really consistent as he's always been his entire career scoring goals. So,
he missed the
um,
Copa due to injury though, so
he
we'll see
did.
how
He
that
did
goes.
miss that. So we'll see if he makes it back. When are these games? Semis? Is it next
Tuesday,
week?
Wednesday. Yep.
Tuesday, Wednesday. All right. I think they were saying he was going to be out like a week, so it's nothing super super bad, but definitely did not want to push it. Obviously, if you had to weigh them, Copa del Rey, Champions League semis, you're gonna sit out the Copa del Rey. Like, that's just kind of how it goes. But what do you got to say? I know you're kind of a Real Madrid fan, but what do you got to say about Barcelona kind of getting past Dortmund? Even though Dortmund gave them a little bit of a scare there. I mean, if we didn't get that goal, it was closer than it was 4-3 on aggregate, and it would have been it would have been
Yeah,
kind of scary there.
definitely be sweating that one for sure. So I thought it was important for them to get that goal like right after the 2-0, going down
Mhm.
2-0, just to kind of right the ship a little bit there. But yeah, I mean, solid tie by Barcelona. So I always kind of expected. Obviously, they gave themselves a big cushion, big margin for error in that first leg, going up 4-0. And I saw a couple articles saying that it was good for Barcelona to kind of get this scare or this like correction, because they kind of been cruising for a little while, not
Hmm.
just in Champions League. Champions League, that I feel like they've gotten a couple easy draws where they can just kind of cruise, kind of like La Liga. And La Liga, they've been, kind of in cruise control as well. So it's good for them to experience a match loss like this, even though it didn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things, just to experience something like that and be like, oh, like we're not, invincible kind of thing. And
Hmm.
and then obviously the Copa del Rey, they'll be flying after that as well with all their momentum. So it's good to see them, back, I guess, even though I don't like them at all. It was weird not having Barcelona around for these later stages, even though I don't want them to win, but I'd like to see them lose in the quarters or semis. So
Yeah, definitely. Moving on to the next game. This one I didn't keep up with a whole lot for whatever reason. I mean, it's a great matchup, but Inter Milan versus Bayern. Inter um, move forward 4-3 on aggregate. But really, really good game. 2-2 on the day. Inter snuck through with a late goal, 1-0 in the first leg, but knocked Bayern out, who were really, really hoping to get to the final because it is in Munich this year, which would have been kind of a cool story. Harry Kane's still chasing that Champions League. The closest he got was with Tottenham, of all places. But I don't know if you watched a whole lot of this game, but what do you think about what you did see of it?
yeah, I kind of had it on the side. Yeah, speaking of the Allianz Arena hosting a final, shades of 2012 when they made it there against
Yeah.
Chelsea, and Chelsea was able to win against them. But I did think that I did predict Bayern to go through, even though that they were down in the
Mm,
series after the first leg. Harry Kane scoring that goal and the right after halftime, I was like, here we go, Bayern baby, back in it. But Inter, obviously um, they rebounded super quickly. Lautaro Martinez went right back down like 5 minutes later, scored another one for them, and then they actually went up on the day 2-1. So obviously they have a nice cushion after that. I think one of the defenders from Bayern added an equalizer late, but ultimately wasn't enough. So
mm,
pretty impressed with Inter. Obviously Bayern are no pushovers. Kind of running the league this year in Germany as we're used to seeing. So they're back up there. And then the Champions League, impressive as well. But Inter, man, I think they have a shot for sure. I think all four teams
yeah.
that have a shot, or that are in the semis now, have a real good opportunity to take the whole thing home. Obviously, Inter went to that final against Man City, I believe it was, a couple years ago when they won. So
Hmm.
they'll be wanting to get back there and win another one. So
Yeah, Inter's kind of that team. Like, I don't think we put respect on their name. They've been
yeah.
incredibly consistent in the Champions League, always pushing for the Scudetto in Serie A. I think they're tied with Napoli right now. Like, that's coming down to the wire as well.
hmm They
So
gave up
I
some
don't know.
points at the weekend, so it's gotten a little bit closer there as well.
Gotchas. I haven't been keeping up with it super closely, but I did see that the other day. But yeah, like I guess we got to put some respect on their name because it's been like I don't know. I want to say 4 years might be pushing it, but at least the last 3 years, like you said, they've made it to that one final. They were in the semis the year before that, and then obviously this year in the semis again. So, um,
Yeah, yeah,
super, yeah. Go
yeah, I
ahead.
totally agree. Both Milan teams, when I first started watching soccer, they were obviously juggernauts, like absolutely insane. You know, deep into the Champions League every year. Winning it. It's kind of them and Juventus fighting for Italian leagues. And then there's like that period where Juventus just took over and winning everything. They weren't even
Mm.
qualifying for Europe. So to see at least, AC Milan's kind of been back, but now they're about back. Whatever mid-table. But
Yeah.
to see Inter still back up there and like like you said, challenging and stuff is really cool. And I think they definitely deserve a lot more respect. I feel like that's why people don't really give them as much respect, because they are coming from the Italian league, who's kind of up and down depending on the year, and they don't have that Juventus anymore. That's just a juggernaut, and they obviously had financial troubles, and they had to get kicked out of the Champions League for a year. They're kind of on their way back up, but like Juventus was kind of the flag bearer for the Italian league. So now that they're not there, it's kind of up for grabs, and Inter's there, but they're not like that stalwart. So it's cool to see them kind of establish their position, like you said. But this is also Thomas Muller's last Champions League game for Bayern. So
Yeah. Oh, I did forget about that. That's
big
end of an
news
era
there.
for sure. End of
Yeah,
an
he's
era.
been there. long time. Obviously, since he was
God.
a kid, but I think he started there 2008. I want to say so.
Uh-huh.
Long, long, long time. Basically, as long as I've been
He's not
watching this thing.
retiring, is he?
I don't think so. I think there's
Mm,
Saudi offers, MLS offers, like you usually
mm,
get with an older player like that. Whether
right.
or not he'll take one, a lot of people want him to be just a one club guy and just retire. But
Yeah.
like he wanted to stay and keep playing, but Bayern didn't offer him. So I'm not
Oh,
sure what he'll
man.
do, but
Yeah,
it'd be cool to
that
see him
sucks.
retire. But we'll see.
Dude, at that point, like, if obviously I'll never get to this point, but like, if I was him, and maybe he has, but I would just look at them and be like, I just want to end my career here. I want to keep playing, even if I'm on the bench and you bring me in like garbage time. Like, I'll play here for free. Like, I've made my money. Like, I don't know if that's even possible to do. Like, I don't know what the rules are on that, but like, that's definitely something
Be
I would just be
super
like,
low
dude,
wage. I don't care.
yeah,
Yeah.
I just want to stay here. Obviously, it's something. I guess there's rules with that because I mean, there were reports that Messi even said like cut my salary in half when he wanted to stay at Barcelona, but they still couldn't even do that. So
Yeah.
I don't know. But anyways, yeah, sad to see him go. Definitely a club legend, and yeah, a bit of our childhood dying with that as well. But lastly, we'll touch on PSG. Beat Aston Villa 5-4 on aggregate, 3-2 on the day. This one got kind of spicy near the end because
A little bit.
obviously PSG kind of handled them in the first leg, but then Aston Villa came out and really made it kind of interesting there on aggregate at the end. But PSG find a way through, and they are playing really well. One could say that they might be the hottest team in the Champions League right now. But what'd you see of this game? What do you think of PSG?
Yeah, I was following it a little bit after the first 30 minutes when PSG went up 2-0, it'd make it 5-0 or not 0, it's like 5-1 or whatever it was on aggregate at that point. I was like,
Mhm.
all right, done and dusted, like kind of washing my hands, let's move on to the next thing. But then
Right.
they score those three unanswered goals in basically like 20
Yeah.
minutes time. I was like, boy, what are we doing here? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, man.
But PSG just kind of locked in, I guess, at that point, and they're like, all right, we can't concede anymore. But their midfield, while I always wax rhapsodic about their midfield being amazing and all this stuff. Like it really struggled in that like middle third of the game where they were just they conceded all their goals. Like they were giving possession away really easily,
Uh,
letting Aston Villa really get in behind with their back line as well, which I think that is their weakest section. Obviously, midfield, defense, and attack. They had a young guy, I think, starting. I think his name was Pacho or something like that, and he was
uh,
making a lot of mistakes, just
mm,
in general. So obviously that was hurting him, but eventually PSG were able to hold on. Asensio, Rashford, all those guys looked really good. So it'll be interesting to see if Aston Villa keep a hold of those guys. I think a lot of it will depend on if they're in Champions League or any kind of Europe next season. But
mhm,
dude, I've obviously been pretty high on PSG for a while, and their front three of Dembele, Barcola, and Kvaratskhelia is really impressive. But I've watched a few games of theirs recently, just some highlights at least to like know for Arsenal and everything. And Desiree Doué coming off of the
mhm,
bench is
mm.
so good. Like they're starting to get deep too, and I'm just like, dude,
Yeah.
what's going on with this PSG team? They're not just all stars anymore. They got a wagon. So
I know they're really good. Their coach is really good, and like I said, they're probably one of the hottest teams in Europe at the moment. Very quickly here, obviously we have the semi set. We got Arsenal versus PSG, Barcelona versus Inter. Just a quick preview on both Arsenal versus Paris Saint. I don't know why I'm trying to say the whole name. Just losing my mind here. Arsenal versus PSG. Who you got in this one and why?
oh, this is so hard, man.
Gotta go with
So
your
hard.
heart here or your head. Tough,
I'm gonna
man.
say PSG.
Oh man.
I know, I know. I'm so torn because midfield offense, like they're so dangerous, bro. They could put four
Yeah.
against up in one game against us, especially
Yeah.
with Kivior. He's been doing well, but is that really going to hold up against the speed and just the complexity of PSG and how they're playing now? Not
Hmm.
really sure. But at the same time, like our attack is really good. Saka's been is
Yeah.
healthy finally. Odegaard is he's kind of scraping by. He's starting to get back there. So like I can see
Yeah.
us doing. I just it's literally 50-50 for me. But I do think PSG are going to knock us out, unfortunately. So that's my prediction. But I mean, obviously, I'm not rooting for that at all. That'd be
Right,
for Arsenal being a Champions League final. That'd be like dream stuff. But
dude.
PSG is my pick.
All right. Barcelona Inter.
Barca Inter, another one I could see going one way or the other. I think the way that Barcelona played in the second half of the Copa, I think Inter will really key in on that. I feel like they were caught out quite a bit. I think Inter could knock out Barcelona just based off that, but I'm gonna pick Barcelona.
Mm.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna pick Barcelona.
All right, Barca versus PSG in the final. I'm gonna go PSG as well. I just think I think they're the hotter team. Even though I don't know, Arsenal's flying right now in Champions League off of that Real Madrid win. Scoring the goals they scored and handling them how they did, super super impressive. But I think I'm going to have to pick PSG for no particular reason other than I think they just have a little bit more. You guys have quite a few injuries that are hurting you at the moment, but a little bit of time to figure it out.
We don't have
But
a striker technically either, still, so we're still rocking with
right,
Mikel Marino up there.
yeah. But you guys, I don't know, just with how you guys play, you
We don't need
present,
one. Yeah,
yeah, you guys present different type of problems for the opposition. But and then this next one, I think this one's hard for me because I'm really high on Inter as well. Martinez, I like him a lot. He
he's
is
been
always in like that
scoring
top.
crazy.
He's always in like that top 20 Ballon d'Or talk, but you would never know because like obviously he never wins it, but he's never clamoring about how he's like, oh, I'm the best in the world. I should be getting this and that. Just goes about his business, scores goals, plays for Inter, plays for Argentina, and that's about it.
Yeah.
This one's tough. I want to pick Inter because I think they finally make it over the top, but I'm gonna have to go with Barcelona. I think they've been the most. I can't even say they've been the most consistent this year because, like, I mean, Inter's just you know done business. But I'm gonna go Barca versus PSG, same as you. Um, I'm gonna go Barca winning it all. Who you got?
PSG.
PSG. All right, that'll be an interesting watch party when we have it. But yeah, that's gonna do it for the soccer side of things. We hope you guys enjoyed a little bit of the recap. Again, it's been a little like a hot minute since all this stuff happened, but life happens. We get busy. But yeah, we're looking forward to these games coming up next week. All right, like we've been saying, since we've been super busy this past week, we missed a ton of stuff going on in the sports world. So this last segment is kind of us just catching up on everything really quick. To start off the top, Rory wins the Masters for the first time, completes the Grand Slam. Obviously, viewership was up for this Masters just with the different pairings. Obviously, the last pairing was Rory and Bryson DeChambeau. Rory missing like a 5-foot putt to send it to a playoff, and then finally getting it done with basically the same putt that he missed to go to the playoff.
Yeah.
Rory doing Rory things, but obviously getting it done this time around. What'd you think? Did you watch this Masters? I know a ton of people tuned into this. I was watching it with my dad when he was here, which was pretty cool. But
Yeah, I watched a ton on Sunday, obviously. Super hyped for that last pairing, but DeChambeau had a pretty bad day on Sunday. He kind of fell out. I think
imploded,
he ended up
dude.
being the top 7 or 8.
Yeah,
Played well like down the stretch. But I remember I think it was the first 3 holes, DeChambeau had caught up like within, I think he was ahead at that point. And Rory, I think I texted you. I was like, Rory's body language looks terrible. Like you could
it
tell
was
he was
bad.
imploding. And then,
Yeah,
like to his credit, like he didn't do what Rory usually does, and he just like I was like, all right, I'm just gonna play some good golf. Obviously, from
yeah.
there, he was kind of he played a really good day, and then went to the playoff. Like you said, though, like when he missed that putt, I was like, this is
Just
Rory all
set.
over again. Rose is gonna win. But that second to last shot that he hit to put him on the green.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my goodness. Like he curled that thing around the tree. I was like, that is
Amazing.
nice. That was one of the
Amazing.
nicest golf shots I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
So obviously that was pretty nuts. But congrats to Rory. I always tune in for the Rory drama, especially at the Masters. So I don't know
Yeah.
if, what I'm gonna do now without that, but it's big props to him. So it's cool to see him win. But
Yeah, I was added to a Discord group from like a bunch of guys back home. Um, that just like it's just a group to talk like sports, everything and anything. And the whole Discord was just going off like Rory's gonna choke. This is it. It's going and like
Wow.
you know, somewhat happy. I mean, I am happy for him finally getting it done. Only
It's
the sixth player in history to complete the Grand Slam. Took him a lot longer than the rest of them, but finally
yeah.
gets it done.
It's
Solidifies his place in golf.
it was cool to see just like how much it meant to him, like all the
Yeah.
people that he was hugging and stuff. Like, I'm not a hater of Rory, but like I said, I'm there for the drama. If I was
Mm-hmm.
to pick to root for or against him, I'd probably root against him. But like, it was
Yeah.
super cool to see like him, like just all the people that were there for him and how much it meant for not just him, but for those people that are around him that he's been trying for like what 12 years or something crazy like that. He hasn't won a major in that long either, so it's cool to see him get that. So
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. So good on Rory. Congratulations to him. Scheffler was also in the top 10. Didn't quite
He
have it
made a
on
good
that
run
day.
towards the end.
He did. He did. I think he had
Yeah.
maybe even top five. I'm saying top 10 because I can't quite remember, but he
So I
he did
think he
have a good
tied
run.
fourth, I believe, but don't quote
Okay,
me on that.
gotchas. And to end the podcast, we don't really get into this. We don't really talk on pod. We do talk about this off pod quite a bit. I know we were texting our group chat with Jared and Peter, but the NFL draft, I was keeping up with that because there was a few guys I was looking to see where they would go, but obviously this is going around the sports world like heavily right now in the past few weeks and the past few days. But the biggest story coming out of the draft, Shedeur Sanders dropping out of not only the first round, not only the second round or third round or fourth, going in the fifth round to the Browns eventually, like everyone thought he would end up. But what do you got to say about everything going on and like what people are saying, the reasons that he dropped
Mm,
that far? I don't buy it, man. I don't buy it. I
yeah.
think it. I'll get into what I think, but go ahead. What do you think about everything going on?
I mean, I agree. I don't think that's the reason either, but we'll get into that, I guess, in a second. I loved that he dropped to the fifth round. Like, just gonna put it out there. Like, love it. Like
Yeah.
I just can't. I I mean, he had it coming. Like, I feel like the NFL collectively wanted to send a message to him. Like,
Mm.
he didn't take like any interviews or workouts from any other team outside the top five. Like, he was just talking crazy before. Like, I'm gonna come in. I'm a culture. Like, you have to. Your culture has to, change to me. And he was like, I'm a franchise. Like, play like just super arrogant stuff. Like, just off the like crazy, just talking crazy and just being super obnoxious, arrogant, which is what you get with the Sanders and what his whole college career has been about, basically. I think it was clownery. I don't think we talked about it on the podcast when they retired his number. I was like, bro, well, you went like 13-12, like 1-6 against top 25 teams, like
Mm.
just not a good college career, at least on paper, and then retire his number because your daddy's the coach. Like, it's stupid. If anything, you should be retiring Travis Hunter's number because he actually won the Heisman. But
I think they did.
anyways, Travis Hunter's number, did they?
Yeah, I think they did both.
Oh,
But it was
interesting. Anyway,
the story was more around Shador because everyone was like, we can see Travis, but we don't really understand Shador. Like
yeah.
that's a bit of nepotism going on there.
Yeah, and like it was never a guaranteed. Like the media was talking about him being a top five pick, but no one else really
Mm-hmm.
was, at least not from NFL teams. So I think the NFL collectively was just trying to send a message, like, look, bro, like you're first of all, you're not that good. Second of all, like you need to humble yourself before you come in here and tell me what to do with my team. So,
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed the drama of him not only falling out of the first round, which was like a little bit surprising, but like whatever, like the fact that he did his whole like party thing, which
Yeah.
sounds funny, and then him falling out onto the third day, like the second and third rounds, was just icing on the cake.
Yeah.
Like, I like that. So
Yeah.
a little bit of
No,
a
definitely.
hater coming out of me right now, but it's okay.
Just a little bit, not too bad. No, I can't say that I also didn't enjoy it a little bit just because based on like he really didn't have a whole lot of humility coming out of college,
No,
kind of
he's never
riding
had
this
that.
yeah, kind of just riding this whole like, I'm super great, this, that, and the other. I don't really think that in my personal opinion, I don't think it was all of that kept him falling out. It definitely played a factor. But if you really look at it top to bottom, it's a horrible QB draft.
Yeah.
Horrible. So even if you're like in a lot of the mock drafts, like the second ranked QB, a lot of people are saying Cam Ward would have gone like sixth last year. And so I think and and based on it being a horrible QB draft and also the amount of teams that were looking for a QB were it was very small.
Yep.
Like I mean the Giants were looking for a QB, the Steelers, the Browns, and after that everyone kind of has a guy for the future, a guy they
Yeah.
can build around. Like, I mean, even the Jags have Trevor Lawrence, even though he hasn't turned into what we think he like. You're not going to draft Shedeur if you have Trevor Lawrence and you need to just get other pieces, which
Yeah.
the Jags did move up and get Travis Hunter at second. But
I think it was that also paired with the fact that he comes with a whole circus. He comes with the media, he comes with the Sanders family, he comes with, X, Y, and Z media, like his team or whatever, that's like whatever. And it's just like it's a whole thing. It's kind of um like the saga with Tim Tebow. Like that's why teams kind of got checked out with him. But that was different because it wasn't Tim Tebow's fault. It's just because the polarizing figure that he was, like the media was going to come with him. But Shedeur like feeds into that, and obviously with Dion and everything, you're going to get Dion in the building now too because he's whatever. But but like I totally agree with what you're saying. Is like not a ton of teams really needed a quarterback. So I would like look at it like just for Shedeur and be like, all right, we're like at the 17th pick or whatever. Like, don't need a quarterback. No, 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 no. Like I couldn't see him going to any of those places, at least not to be a starter. And I feel like maybe that's why he may have dropped a little bit farther because like if you take him in the first 2 rounds, he might try to demand or like want to be a starter. Whereas like if you take him fourth, fifth, sixth, like all the analysts were saying, like that's backup territory. That's where you take a backup that's just going to be like a backup. He's going to run the scout team. He's going to try to learn, maybe get an opportunity eventually if your starter goes down or if he like wins the job against a guy that's maybe not a top 10 to 15 quarterback in the league. So maybe that's why he let him drop that much. The Browns, I mean, he has opportunity to fight there at least for a position. But yeah, like you said, not very many teams that really needed a starter at least. So maybe they just wanted to be like, hey man, you're really a backup. So
yeah. Yeah, and I think it's interesting what the Browns are doing. We talked about it a little bit in our group chat, and I totally agree with like you and Sam, what you guys were saying. Like if you have two QBs, you don't have any. But I really think what the Browns are doing is they're loading up on cheap quarterbacks from this draft. And like they've already missed. Like they've already destroyed their cap with Deshaun Watson's contract and everything like that. So I feel like they were just like, if we just get a bunch of well, so they have Joe Flacco, they have Kenny Pickett, which those aren't super promising. Those are definitely backups. But between Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders, like whoever you start or keep, gonna have for super cheap. You're gonna have Kenny Pickett and Flacco for super cheap, and that works for you because you're paying Deshaun Watson so much freaking money. That you kind of just have to take your bet on like a bunch of QBs, have a giant QB battle, cut the guys you don't want, play the best guy. Probably not Deshaun. They've kind of given up on that. I think Deshaun's kind of given up on football at this point.
yeah.
But I just think it's a super interesting strategy. But all the QBs that went before Sanders, mobile. He's not mobile. All the QBs went before Sanders can throw off platform better, have a better arm. That's just what the QB in the NFL is now. So I mean, I feel like a lot of the media probably rated him high because this is the only thing I'm gonna say that's a bit like, against the grain. Deion Sanders has a lot of pull. Like he would have been in all of their faces if they rated all these quarterbacks over him. So they probably just saved their butts by like, yeah, we'll put him under Cam Ward. Cam Ward's definitely going one. We'll put Shedeur under there, and then whatever happens, we'll just play it off as we're surprised. Which, you know what? A lot of them probably really aren't, if we're being completely honest.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I agree with what you're saying. Like the two quarterback system. I think the perfect example of that was like the Steelers last year when you had, both Fields and Wilson, and like it didn't really work out. There's a lot of other reasons why it didn't work out. I don't think, there's other things, but yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like it's an interesting situation with the Browns because they can't get out from Watson. Watson's not great anymore, and then they have like a bunch of quarterbacks. Like not all of those are going to make the roster. Like at most four. Like most people just have three on the roster, sometimes two. But with a log jam of six there, like I mean, you can look at several guys for sure to see what you have, but one of those guys is going to get released, at
Mm-hmm.
least one of them. So we'll see which one it is. But like you said, I think the Dion part is definitely something. I wouldn't even, depending on the team, and this could happen with the Browns. Like let's say the Browns have a bad year this year and they fire their coach, because there's rumors about the Browns, firing their coach last year. Like he's gonna try to lobby for that job, bro. Like he's been
Yeah.
with Shedeur for like his whole career, basically. He's coached him in high school, coached him at Jackson State, coached him at Colorado. Like I would be curious to see what Shador does with a coach that's not his dad. Like that's going to be
Yeah.
super interesting too. So not
Mm-hmm.
just nepotism where he gets the starting quarterback job. So we'll see how he's able to respond to that adversity. But if it was another franchise that like a legacy franchise where the coach is solid, like maybe Dion tries to like nudge his way in there. So that's why they didn't want the circus coming to town. So um,
Yeah.
super interesting though to see a guy that's projected, let's say first round, most people's draft boards like drop 4 rounds, bro. Like that's
Yeah.
insane.
That's
So
unprecedented. I mean, we've seen drops, but like not that bad.
yeah,
Not that bad.
crazy.
Um, but anyways, we're gonna round off super quickly. I know this is in the doc, so I don't know how prepared you are about this, but it doesn't have to be super long. Obviously, Sam is a Cowboys fan and I'm a Steelers fan, so I figured we could just quickly kind of give our thoughts on how our drafts went. I can go first unless you're ready.
Sure, go ahead.
All right. I'm pretty high on ours, other than the fact that we didn't draft. Not trying to hate on Will Howard, but I would have liked to get a little better QB out of the draft. But this just tells me that Aaron Rodgers is coming. That's all it tells me. That we have a handshake agreement with like, and I even said it in our group chat, like jokingly, but it's like Aaron Rodgers told them the best they could get is Will Howard, and he would sign with them. But that's kind of what it felt like. Like we pulled Will Howard out of the sixth round with the ninth pick, um, out of Ohio State. Good quarterback, but my thing with Ohio State quarterbacks is they have all these weapons, great receivers that like you really don't have to be a great quarterback. Minus CJ Stroud, they really haven't worked out yet. I mean, Justin Fields hasn't worked out. We'll see about Will Howard. I'm kind of blanking on some of the other Ohio State, but like you don't really, there's none that jump off the top like Stroud does, obviously. So, um, like our first round pick, got a
Justin Fields.
yeah. Like our first round pick, got a DT. I was kind of hoping that we'd get a little better running back. I don't know much about Caleb Johnson. We got him in the third round. Definitely needed a running back though. And I kind of wanted Scadaboo just because I liked what he did in the playoffs. Who I'm super high on in the fourth round. We got Jack Sawyer, which I did not think he was going to fall to the
Dude,
fourth. But he is a dog
he's
and he's
yeah,
going to fit
bro.
right in with the culture. And
Yep.
I'm super happy that we got him. And then we got a couple other guys in the later rounds that I don't know a whole lot about. But all in all, super happy with the draft, other than the fact that I was hoping we would, with the 21st, we would have gotten like Dart or something like that. But obviously not meant to be. So,
Yeah, solid. I didn't know a ton of the guys that we drafted, to be honest, especially in the later rounds. Our first round pick was Tyler Booker from Alabama, who's a guard.
mm,
Um, we reached on him a little bit. I like the pick just because we need guard help with Zach Martin obviously retiring. But we probably could have gotten him in the second round if we really wanted to. So a little bit of a reach there, but don't mind the pick. It's a position of need. Micah Parsons was disappointed that we didn't take a big time defensive guy to help, but we did that in the second round.
mm,
I'm pretty high on the guy that they took in the second round. Heard a lot of good things about him. And then we also addressed several other defensive positions. We drafted a corner in the third and then a linebacker in the fifth, I believe. Everything I've seen from them, just good guys that will fit into the defense really well. We drafted 2 running backs as well.
mm.
Jaden Blue from Texas, who I really, really like, and then Phil Maffa from Clemson.
Oh, okay.
I think both of those guys could contribute quite a bit. Jaden Blue is more of a versatile back, can make a guy miss. Phil Maffa's more of your, run you over power back. But I like both of those guys a lot. So I'm hoping that both of those guys make the team for sure, especially obviously Jaden Blue will probably make it. And then Phil Maffa, even though he's taken the 7th round, I think the steal for the 7th round. So we'll see what we do with our running back room. And then we took another offensive tackle in the 6th. And then the D tackle, I'm not really familiar with. Actually, 2 D tackles in the 7th round because we had 3 7th round picks. Not too familiar with them, but obviously we're addressing the defense quite a bit. The only gripe I would have with this, besides the fact that it looks like we overdrafted for Tyler Booker in the 1st, we didn't draft a receiver. What the heck? Like all the mock drafts had us taking a receiver in the 1st, if not in the 1st, definitely in the 2nd. We went all 7 rounds without drafting one. So I don't know what the heck Jerry is doing. That was probably our biggest position of need because there's CeeDee Lamb and then like a bunch of guys you basically never heard of. Like there's Jalen Tolbert and like I think we got rid of Brandon Cooks. We don't have Brandon Cooks now, but he was decent, but we got rid of him. And like I can't even remember who else is on our roster on a state receiver. Just like the drop off is drastic. So we definitely need receiver help. Oh, Jonathan Mingo, we traded for him. I remember that. He's on the roster, but that was super frustrating that we didn't draft one. Especially because like the receiver draft was so deep, bro. Like we could have gotten Eric AU Maynor or whatever from Stanford in like the 6th round. Like I was like, bro, what are we doing? So now we're going to have to either sign a freaking veteran who's 35 years old or some unrestricted wide receiver guy who's a free agent rookie who probably isn't going to be that great. Like, I just don't understand that. But, whatever. Jerry going to Jerry. At this point, I've lost all hope. But, this gives me a little bit, like, obviously just a lot of defensive things, but I'd give it like a B, I guess.
B. So. Yeah. That's solid. Yeah, definitely would have been cool to grab a receiver for you guys, but like you just alluded to, your owner, I don't know what's going on in his head. Probably not a whole lot.
Not much. He's like 8,900 years old, so
8,900 years old. Yeah, basically. But anyways, I think that's a pod, Sammy.
That is a pod, finally.
Finally, yeah, a bit of a long one. Little technical difficulties, had to switch room, all that fun stuff. But we appreciate you guys hanging with us. Check us out on everything: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. Like, subscribe, follow, do all the things. Trying to gain some more followers on Instagram. If you guys could go check that out, we'd appreciate it. But we will catch you guys on the next one. All right, peace.